Hey everybody, Sloppy Joe here. So today was supposed to be a range day in the mountains. I was going to go up test my the new Sam 7 SF. I was going to stop by my local range, but they're having a competition today, so I couldn't stop by there. My plan B was to go up to the mountains, do some shooting, try to do some long distance stuff. Not necessarily accuracy, but just to test the rifle, get a feel for it. But today is a heavy rainy day in Seattle, shocking. So before the Seahawks game, I've decided to come down into town, run a couple errands, and one of the things on my mind lately has been this whole controversy with the Starbucks banning of firearms, and how incredibly stupid the gun community is being over it. Now, several of the web forums I visit, it's almost half and half. Half the people look at it as reasonable. There's good reason for it. It makes sense. Starbucks as a corporation doesn't want to be involved politically in this line in the sand that gun owners and anti-gun owners have. So I get all that. But what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to basically, if you read the policy the way it's written by Starbucks, it basically says they just don't want you walking in with a AR-15 on your back. If you're concealed carry and you're a permitted concealed carry weapon holder, they don't mind that. They just don't want to see it. And they don't want the customers being freaked out, things like that. So here's what we're going to do. I am a block away from my local Starbucks. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. And I'm going to see if I can film it. We'll see how crowded it is. I don't want to make a scene. But the point of this is going in, getting a cup of coffee while carrying a concealed weapon, and showing that what the policy is not necessarily we're anti-gun or we don't want you to carry. They're asking, don't carry a gun, please, into the premises. But if you're concealed, we don't see it, nobody knows about it, we're not going to ask. So, here's what we got. So, this is underneath my my shooting sports card. I'm blocking off all my information. But underneath that, you can see, this is my expiration date, June 12th of 2014. This is, see if I can get in there. It's a little blurry, the lighting's not great today, there's not a lot of sun. But it says, State of Washington, licensed to carry concealed pistol. That's my issuing number. This was issued by the police department in my city. So, I'm going to carry that. And what we'll be carrying is, inside the waistband, this is my Makarov. And it is loaded, I will show you that. So you can see, it has a loaded magazine and it is chambered. I'm going to tuck this in my waistband as I normally would. And you know what? And it is raining, but here's what I'll do. I'll do this a step further. I have my coat here, and it's a little big and bulky. That would obviously hide anything. But I'm wearing just, I'm not a big guy. I'm a 180-pound guy. I'm wearing just a black t-shirt. So I'm going to tuck this into my waistband, wearing only my t-shirt, and we're going to walk in, grab a cup of coffee, and walk out. See what happens. So, we'll check back in. Alright, so here we are outside Starbucks. I'm going to go inside, go do my thing. Okay guys, so we just went in, got our coffee, and no big deal. And I'm looking at the front of the building right now. And there are no signs up that say anything about no firearms allowed. There's no notices, no signs, there's nothing inside. I asked the guy behind the counter, I didn't film it, but I just asked if there was any gun policy notices or signs, and they said no, they're not putting anything up, but that's, again, I think it's a don't ask, don't tell type thing. So, the only signs that's on the building are for no smoking. So, don't smoke in or around a Starbucks. But as long as you're carrying, don't let them know you're carrying, and it's not a big deal. Alright guys, Sloppy Joe here. So, gone in, got my coffee. I got one more stuff to make. I gotta get some food so I can go and watch the Seahawks game. Anyway, so the way this policy reads that everyone's getting all freaked out about is basically a non-issue. Starbucks isn't saying they're for guns or against guns. All they're saying is we're just trying to not make our patrons uncomfortable by having guys sitting around with open carry rifles, whatever. And we've all seen the pictures. If you hunt the internet, hunt Google, do an image search, and there's pictures of guys who will go into, you know, various establishments wearing shotguns, rifles on their back, whatever. Then you got the army wannabes who are going to walk around with, you know, their special, their special forces types gear, their leg, you know, their thigh rig with their pistol in it, strapped to their leg. And basically, it comes down to some of these guys, yes, they're taking their Second Amendment right to the limit. We'll say that. Yes, we all have Second Amendment rights. Yes, it is our right to carry. And in some cases, yes, it is our right to open carry. But sometimes it's not necessarily the right thing to do for certain situations. So I think that's the big point I take out of this, is that yes, it is our right to carry if you have the proper permits and all that, depending on your state and your local law enforcement. Yes, it's our right to carry, but in some situations it's not right to show it off, especially with families, young kids, things like that. It just falls on common sense. And unfortunately, I've heard it one too many times from people much older and wiser than me, is that unfortunately the thing with common sense is not always very common. So that's it for now. I'm going to drive home and make a stop, get some food along the way, and I'll wrap this up with some final thoughts. Thanks. Alright guys, so we're home and got my coffee and the pistol in question. So my final thoughts on this as I was driving home were, number one, Starbucks is not taking a or an anti-gun stance. So that is first and foremost. Everyone just kind of needs to everyone just needs to lose their heart on for this anti-gun thing. I find that we gun owners end up being our own worst enemies, in the sense that we make small things very big deals. And I believe this is one of those situations. You have a corporation, Starbucks, their headquarters are 5 miles away from me. So you have a corporation that is saying, we are not anti-gun, we are not pro-gun, we're just kind of saying, we want to be Switzerland, we want to be neutral. We don't want to be drug into this politically. And the reason they do that is if you go online, you can very easily see pictures of guys standing in line at Starbucks, whatever it is, McDonald's, who knows. And in certain states, I don't know the ones off the top of my head, where that is perfectly legal to walk in. For instance, you could walk into a Starbucks with a AK variant or an AR-15 slung over your back. And I could walk in, order my coffee, and everything's hunky-dory. And most people probably wouldn't bat an eye, depending on the community. But that is not every community. So what Starbucks is saying is, look, we just don't want you sitting at your table or walking into the store with an AR-15, AK, shotgun, whatever it is, on your shoulder, slung across your back, walking in wearing, a leg rig with a full-size 1911 in it, whatever it is. They're just saying, we don't want that. It might make some people uncomfortable to sit down on the patio or in the store to drink their cup of coffee, and they have kids there and whatever, and they're, it could be a perfectly respectable citizen who's sitting there with a gun. That's great. But unfortunately, not all gun owners are responsible, common sense type people. There's unfortunately a lot of goofballs out there. And goofballs being kind. Unfortunately, you get the guys who are just total idiots and brazen their weapons and are very, you know, they're the ones that scream 2A, 2A, the loudest, usually are the biggest idiots. I don't know why that is, but it just is that way. So instead of brandishing common sense and saying, all right, I'm in a crowded public area and I don't want to make a scene, and I personally don't have the time to be, you know, have the cops called on me, stopped, questioned, show my permit, all that stuff. I personally don't have time for that. I have places to go, things to do. So for guys to willingly put themselves in a situation where they might have to mix it up with a police officer and waste 20, 30 minutes of their time, that says one of two things. Either that person has really no responsibilities personally that they need to attend to, or they are just attention whores looking for attention, and they are going to shove their 2A right down everyone else's throat. Now, I'm all for 2A. Of course, I'm an enthusiast. I collect firearms. I shoot them. It's a hobby for me. But yes, you have a 2A right. You have a Second Amendment right, but that doesn't give you the right to be an idiot. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And just because you have a 2A right doesn't make the situations that you might present to other people, it doesn't make those the right things to do. So the biggest thing out of this is common sense. Don't be an idiot. Don't be a mall ninja cop, civilian army guy. You know, leave the obvious policing to the police. Now, if you want to conceal carry, all for it. Like I said, I walked in, this was tucked in my waistband. And again, I'll show you the shirt I'm wearing so you can see. Let me get this out of the way. I'm just wearing, it's a t-shirt. It's not overly huge. You know, it just comes right down, just below my belt. And that's it. I mean, it is, there's not a lot of, you know, it's just, it's a normal t-shirt, this. I'm not wearing a big jacket. So the point of all that is that nobody, unless I wanted them to, would have noticed I was carrying this inside of my waistband. So that's how I could walk in, walk out, nobody knows anything, no questions are asked, and that's all Starbucks is saying, is if you have the legal right to carry a pistol, great. Just don't freak out our customers. Don't freak out our baristas. Don't make us part of your political statements. And that's not what this is. I'm not making a political statement because I'm with Starbucks on this. But also, as a licensed concealed carry holder, I also know what my rights are. And I know my right is to carry a pistol. But I also know the right thing to do is not make it a big deal. Not make it to where everyone knows I'm carrying a pistol and to make people uncomfortable. Because, yeah, you might be comfortable carrying your weapon in public and all that, but that doesn't mean everybody else is comfortable with you. And again, I don't know about you guys. I don't have the time to deal with concerned citizens, police officers, questioning, all that. I don't have time for all that. I just want to go about my business. So, again, think smart. Don't carry one of these into a Starbucks. You'll be fine. If you have something like this inside your waistband, no one's going to question anything. So, I think that's it for now. I might have some follow-up thoughts on this, but for now, that's all I got. So again, common sense wins out. Try to think, use your brain before you go around screaming and yelling, jumping up and down and causing a scene, screaming 2A and all this. Yes, exercise your 2A rights, but understand that not everything you do is right. So, that's it. Sloppy Joe out.